Okay, so now that we are less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft, it's fun because you start seeing all these rumors and, who's going to trade up, who's going to take this player, who likes this player, and you see all those things start to kind of funnel in. So it gets really, exciting time, but it can also make you a little bit nervous, especially if you're not in a position where you like where you're picking. That's kind of the reason I wanted to talk about some of the rumors and, where players are going to go right ahead of the Cowboys at pick 12, but also wanted to address some of the rumors about the Cowboys potentially being a player to trade up in this draft. That's something that you rarely see the team do. Usually they're more of a trade back team and collect capital, but this time being aggressive and going up for a player, why would the Cowboys really need to do that? Well, I think if we talk about some of these rumors, you'll kind of see where the Cowboys would need to trade up. Now, we don't have an idea of every player the Cowboys likes. We don't know, what their top board is looking at right now. But let's just play a general consensus and let's, kind of just look at the top defenders in this draft because the Cowboys obviously need help on their defense. So let's just say they have a core six. Let's say there's six players that the Cowboys absolutely want. They're picking at 12. So six players. Let's say it's the two linebackers from Ohio State, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, the Ohio State safety, Caleb Downs. Then you're going to say Mansour Lane, the cornerback from LSU. Then both of your edge rushers. So that's going to be Ruben Bain from Miami and David Bailey from Texas Tech. So let's say that's your core six that you want to draft, right? So let's go into some of these rumors. Of course, Raiders, number one overall pick, Fernando Mendoza, easy. New York Jets, high probability that they're looking at Orville Reese. This would really shake up the draft if they go a different direction and can just start, kind of the fun of the NFL draft, right? But Orville Reese has been talked a lot about to the New York Jets at number two. The Cardinals are the first team that has been talked about going offense. So offensive line with Francis Mauanoa has been a, highly talked about spot. I will say for the Cardinals, defense is not necessarily off the table for them, so we can also look for that. Looking at the Tennessee Titans, now this is a team where I wouldn't be surprised if we see Jeremiah Love going. That would be a perfect pair for Cam Ward in the backfield. So I think that would be really good for that young offense. But yeah, absolutely could be a team. Maybe they're just doing a smoke screen for edge rusher Bailey Bain. You got those top edge rushers. That's a high valued position in the NFL. So take an edge right there would make sense. But Jeremiah Love has been talked a lot about to the Tennessee Titans, and it'll be really interesting if Love doesn't go to the Titans. Then how far will he end up falling? Commanders at 7, or Saints. How far can he go down that board? We talked a lot about New York Giants doing Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles being a Giant. Now, when you get to the Cleveland Browns at 6, here is the trade scenario. The Cleveland Browns general manager has talked about, maybe I'm not going to be picking at number 6. So they've obviously have talked about trading out. Now, the player that's been rumored that the Browns absolutely love is Monroe Freeling. He's an offensive tackle from Georgia. He is not anticipated to be a top 10 player. Some scouts won't even view him as a first round, pick. But for whatever reason, Cleveland Browns really love Monroe Freeling. And I'll say the one thing about Monroe is he's a true left tackle, playing left tackle for the Georgia Bulldogs last year. The top two offensive linemen in this class, Francis Mauanoa from Miami and Spencer Fano from Utah, they both played right tackle coming out of college. So Monroe is, of course, probably the best true left tackle in this class. Therefore, he's going to go up the board a little bit. Browns love him. Will they sit there at 6 and actually pick him? I'm not sure. I think they'll be dialing up the phones and trying to find a trade back partner when their time comes. Maybe they say, okay, we're going to take the risk of waiting on him. They have a mid-round pick, so maybe they go wide receiver here and just kind of help out the offense. Now, that's why I say it's a trade back scenario, but let's see, why would the Cowboys need to trade there? In this scenario, you've only lost Arvell Reese and maybe, let's say, Caleb Downs. So why would you move from 12? Well, let's keep going here. Commanders, I think they're going to go defense, edge rusher primarily. Saints, that's another offensive team. Probably Carnell Tate from Ohio State would make sense there. Here's the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs would take Mansour Delane to help replace their cornerback needs. Or when we talk about Ruben Bain potentially falling down draft boards because of the short arm length, and maybe he's going to make it there to 12 for the Cowboys. I think Bain will get sniped off the board by the Chiefs or by another team coming up. Bengals, they absolutely need a defender. So right there, you have three more defenders that just go straight off the board. Maybe you have a linebacker, the safety still sitting there. The Dolphins sit in front of you. Now, here's the thing. If you have the one defender still on the board, the Dolphins are sitting in front of you, perfect. They are a offensive needy team. They need a lot of things, but wide receiver has been the most talked about thing for the Miami Dolphins. Obviously they lost Tyreek Hill, traded away Jalen Waddle. So let's get a wide receiver to replace him. Here's the thing about the Dolphins. The Dolphins just employed a new general manager. Their general manager was a former scout. Typically what we see when we have new general managers in these roles, especially when they come from that scouting background, they believe in draft picks. They believe in curating as many draft picks as they can and just firing off picks. So they don't care where they're picking. If they get 10 picks in a draft, that's perfect for them. So I think the Miami Dolphins could be a team that really hurts the Cowboys because every team that's sitting behind the Cowboys knows they need defense, right? So if there's one guy left on the board, if Caleb Downs is still sitting there, if maybe Ruben Bain did end up falling or Mansour Delane's are sitting there, I think a team goes, well, Dallas will never let Delane or Bain or Downs go past them. So if we want those guys, we have to jump Dallas. So they're going to call up Miami and say, hey, we need to get in front of Dallas here to take the last defender. The last of that core six we just talked about. We need to grab them. The Giants general manager says, how many picks are you going to give me? Okay, perfect. Any chance they have a shot at getting a 2-for-1? Absolutely, they're going to take it. So that is a reason why, you get there to pick 12 and that core six is gone. And now maybe you're kind of reaching on maybe an Akeem Mesidor or another edge rusher that you kind of like more at 20 that you end up having to take at 12 just because, you're wiped out. Or maybe you have to take an offensive player because that's the best player on your board. It doesn't look great for Dallas in that scenario. So I think what's been talked about is the trade up. Now, we've seen a rumor about a trade up for the Cowboys going all the way to pick number 3 for the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know how likely that one is. That would cost a lot. You would have to give up 12 and 20 and probably a lot more capital for next year to move that high up. The trade scenario that I've seen and I like the best that I think the Cowboys should highly consider doing, they should move up to number 6. The Cleveland Browns are going to be antsy to get out of that pick. They've kind of shown the signs of it. So in this scenario, I think there is a bit of an overpay on the Cleveland Browns part. But if they want to get out and they're desperate, I think they would kind of overpay just a little bit. So the trade scenario is Cowboys take their 12 and 20 first round pick, send it to Cleveland. Cleveland gives us the 6th. So now Cleveland picks 3 times in the first round, 12, 20, and 24. And they would also return us pick 39, which is the 6th pick of the second round. So now the Cowboys own a top end first round pick and they own a top end second round pick. So I think those two options kind of work out for Dallas because you're not losing picks, but you're just changing up where you are picking. And I think that's where you can find a great linebacker in that early second round and really get into that depths of the linebacker class, while also being able to get one of those elite defenders, part of your core 6 that we talked about. So basically, if you're picking at 6 now, Fernando Mendoza's number 1 gone. That means you will have the choice. If defenders just went from, pick 2, 3, 4, 5, if it was all defenders, you would now get to choose between two of your core 6. And again, that's just assuming that the Cowboys like all 6 of those guys. Let's say there's a world where they have a medical issue or a character issue on one of those guys. So they're not looking at Delane, Bain, Bailey, Styles, Downs, and Reese. Maybe it's 4 of those guys or 3 of those guys. Well, then that makes a lot more sense for you to trade up, because if you're taking off those top defenders' names off your board, you'll start having to look pick 12 into your second round graded players. So I think that's one reason we've talked about the Cowboys trading up, and I think it could be a great way to be aggressive and show the desire, to win now and build up your defense. Really, one last trade. I think if you can convince Kansas City or the Saints and you just kind of move up 3 spots, I would absolutely do that. There has been rumors, I'll say, in the department of the Cowboys trading that the Cowboys would move up for Bain or Downs. If you're only moving up to pick 9, that'll just probably cost you your round 3, pick 92. So it'd be a little bit cheaper. You don't have to give up 12 and 20. But I think the Cleveland Browns trade would be just a great way to show the team is being aggressive. But if you see, Downs is still there, or Sonny Styles is still there, or remains still there, and you really want to go get them, and you just want to just jump up a little bit, just to jump in front of Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is going to take best defender available at pick 10. Jumping in front of Cincinnati would ultimately be a great play, and it would be less expensive. So yeah, just wanted to just cover some of those rumors from other teams that I've heard about, and just talk a little bit about what I think about the Cowboys moving up potentially in this draft. Again, it's something we don't ever see them do. They usually are a trade down team, but this would be an awesome opportunity to see the Cowboys kind of, running things a little bit differently, and, acting like, moving different, as a lot of media has commented on the Cowboys needing to do. So I think it would be a really good change of pace for the Cowboys. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and hope you enjoyed. All right, see ya.